evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, haven't met me on a handball court yet, I'm Liz Roberts, and I work within the DiSE programme and sort of many sort of areas of England handball, the competitions and such forth. So yeah, it's really lovely to see you all today. I've got Sue here, Sue Whitehead with me. So Sue, you want to say hi?
Hi everybody, good evening on this first session that Liz and I both taking part in. I'll see you later as well on the next one, some of you guys. I'm Sue Whitehead. I'm the Regional Academy Manager for Northwest, so I recognise some of the names here and some of you got your cameras on, so I do know some of you, and I'm also a DiSE tutor assessor and I've been for a few years now. So good to see you.
Thanks, Sue. So obviously, folks, we are here to talk to you about, like, we're just starting off the topic, looking at how you can help manage your lifestyle, organise yourselves. You know, you're busy athletes, you know, you've got busy social lives. It's probably one of the busiest times of your life with juggling all sorts. And this area on the DiSE programme is there to sort of help you and give you sort of some super life hacks and little top tips on how we can make that whole life thing easier. So what we've got sent, I'm so sorry, the dogs next door are howling. I hope you can't hear them. So you've had a little scavenger hunt that John set you. What have you got? Who'd like to join in and start the conversation on what we found? Maybe let's start with number one on what essential item you need for school or college. It's always that dodgy moment, isn't it, Sue, when it's silence?
Yes, it is indeed.
Believe me, guys and girls, we are all in this together, okay? So
don't be shy, don't be shy.
Why don't
I guess you could use in school a book and a pen.
A book and a pen, yeah. Are they your essential items that you need to take in?
Yeah.
Sorry, John, were you trying to talk?
I was, but I was going to say, and thanks AJ for volunteering that. So why don't the people who've got cameras on wave in front of the camera what they've got? Go on, Maddie, you look totally embarrassed. So wait, I'm not just okay. So
oh cool. yeah.
Okay, Oscar, what have you got? I can't see what that is. So that looks like okay. Flynn, what have you got? So if you've got your camera on, wave in front of the camera or hold it still. Okay, Tosca, Claudia, Ethan, I can see what you've got. James, who else? Can you see anyone else? Sue, Liz?
Heidi, yeah, Heidi's got a folder there.
So why don't I can see Georgia, Asher, Corin, Ruby. Okay, so there's a few of you got calculators. So Asher, you've got a calculator. Would somebody other than Asher like to unmute and say why that might be important to have? So I'm looking specifically at people who've got cameras off. I'm going to call on first, maybe.
Well, a calculator will be used for people who will be doing advanced maths, mathematics, or anything to do with numbers or calculations. I personally don't, because I do public services instead. Okay,
cool. So Asher, if you unmute, is that a pretty good summation of why you've got a calculator?
Yeah, I do sports science, so there's like a lot of standard deviation and stuff like that.
Right, okay. So without you having to define what standard deviation is for all of us who don't know what that is, it's obviously a technical term that you can't do on a laptop or a mobile. Well, you can do on a laptop, but you can't do it on a mobile, is it? Because again, most of us
it's basically just like the mean and stuff. You could, but
go on.
You bring a calculator to school for like exams. Okay.
Yeah, and obviously you can't, because you can't take your phone in when you've got exams. So again, there's a really important thing. Could you cope without that object? That's no problem, Liz. Could you cope without the object?
Probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
and how?
Just doing it in my head.
So you can work standard deviations out in your head, can you?
Well, sometimes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Also,
depends.
you know the equation to put them all together and work out the mean and divide by blah, 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 and do an x equals whatever. Awesome. Flynn,
Well,
show us your object again, please. And then again, someone talked through what Flynn's got, which is an extension of what AJ had there earlier on, because AJ said a pen. So what's Flynn got? Thanks, Flynn. So again, let's go someone who's not got their camera on, ideally. So Tom M, can you?
We've just
unmute?
welcomed Yin. Is it Yinal?
Yeah.
Apologies if I've said that incorrectly, but good evening.
So can you show it again, please, Flynn? Yeah, so pencil case. So what's different that Flynn's shown? Why is a pencil case different from a pen? And could you explain why Flynn has got a pencil case rather than just a single pen? The keyword being explain. So okay, so if you go into text, that's no problem, but you might have to, or can anyone else? So Corin, I'm looking right at you at the minute. I know you can't see me because my camera's off and my light's off. So so can you tell us why that's different, or why Flynn's got a pencil case, perhaps?
Then you can have just more than a pen, like you can have pencils or rulers or anything you might need for each different subject.
So you need a different pen for a different subject, perhaps.
Well, yeah, or like different equipment, like you might need a pencil for one subject or
Cool.
a pen for a different subject.
Cool. Awesome. And yeah, and again, I'm going to ask some really challenging questions of you. That was brilliantly answered. So Flynn, can you just unmute very quickly and explain a couple of the things you've got in that pencil case and why you've got them?
We've got like different colored pens and like pencils to like help with like revision and doing different booklets and like the flexibility.
So here's a rhetorical question for all of you. Flynn, you don't have to answer unless you want to. Who, maybe a show of hands or a Y in the text box, who uses highlighters to help them revise? Okay, a few. Again, there's loads of evidence that suggests that that doesn't actually help you revise. That actually is just you colouring stuff in. It may be we have a discussion a bit further down the road about how we can help you. Go and talk to subject teachers about that, because I think that's a bit of a myth that people have kind of bought into. But I'm guilty. I've got a pack of highlighter pens in my bag, in the car, in my Loughborough College bag there. Okay, cool. Let's go a little bit quicker. I'm mindful of time. So next one was an object you have when you go to handball training. So this time, let's do it the other way around. So again, show us in cameras if you can.
Ball.
Okay,
Excellent.
thanks, Tosca. Very bright and colourful, Tosca. That's like my highlighted collection. James, Ethan, Claudio. What's that? Bring it a bit closer, please, if you could.
Look at those shoes.
Is that an earpod case?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Huey's got a ball. Maddie's got a ball. Georgia, is that a pair of trainers? Flynn's got a ball. Ruby's got water. Asher, what's that? You've got Asher. Just put it a bit more central on your camera.
Ankle support.
Right, okay, cool. Oscar, what have you got?
Just my regional shirt.
Right, okay, just my regional shirt. Okay, cool. Okay, so Raf, what have you got? If you can unmute.
I got a foam roller.
Okay, cool. Polly, what have you got?
My handball shoes.
Okay, cool. And Luca, what have you got?
Are you there, Luca?
A handball. Okay, cool. Brilliant. So that and they're all pretty standard objects, aren't they? You know, maybe the foam roller slightly different. Earpods probably we all probably will travel with. Did anyone have anything slightly different that they would take to the gym with them? So if you were going for a particular, like a physical workout rather than to play handball, anyone come up with like a bonus object that they would
Heidi
use?
did.
Heidi. So what's Heidi got?
Resistance band.
Do you want to show us that, Heidi? Not demo it, but just show us. Okay, cool. Anyone else? So again, Liz, Sue, don't know if you can see. Claudia, is that a water bottle? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you're challenging my eyesight this evening.
Water bottle,
know.
yeah. So same here, I'm doing this on a phone and swiping through. Okay. Go on, someone spoke then, or was it the echo of me?
I can't see anything else.
No, okay. Okay, so next one, was the next one home games, Liz?
I believe so.
So again, let's look at what you've got. Let's do the next two together. So home game and away game.
Okay.
Show us the two objects you've got for a home game.
Home and away shirt, love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the sliders for arriving to games. Yeah. What's that? Oh, Maddie, yeah, essential there.
Okay, and the away game as well. So so you should have two objects in your hand. So Claudia, I can see your top. James, what's that you got? What's the?
Heidi, is that?
I've got my handball bag and my sandwich box.
Yeah.
Cool, good man.
Heidi's got
Huey,
some
what are your
questions.
two things? Sliders and handball, and two handballs. Okay.
Okay.
That's always good, because going back to what AJ said about taking a pen, well, you all know how obsessive I am about loads of stuff, but I'm really obsessive about having a minimum of two pens when you go anywhere, because if one runs out or you lend it to someone, you always need a backup. So always have two, not have two of everything, but always have a backup plan for everything. Ruby, what did you have? Now that I think you just put it down, just as I flipped across to look at yours. So shoes and kit. Okay, cool. Is there anyone got anything unusual that you would take to an away game that's a bit out of the ordinary? And I might be looking at you, Ethan, right now, hiding behind that box. So do you want to explain to us, Ethan, what that is?
Oh, it's a massage gun.
Okay, go on, a bit more detail. So so again, probably feels like you're at school for this moment with me. Explain rather than just identify
Okay,
what
so
that
yeah,
is. So you've identified it's a massage gun. Explain what it is now.
so like at half time or like at the end of the game, just like putting on your legs or the tight muscles after, just to relax it.
Okay, and do you know how it relaxes it? This is a yes/no question, by the way. Do you know how it relaxes your muscles?
I guess it kind of like.
So I'll
opens up
repeat my
more.
question. This is a yes/no question. Do you know how it relaxes your muscles? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks for
kind
being honest. Kind of, but no.
Yeah.
I think if you'd have tried to blag it, either myself, Sue, or Liz might have jumped in with our physiological knowledge, or again, we've got a few sports science learners in the group who might go, actually, that explanation is not entirely accurate. But that's cool. That's cool. You know, but that's something you have. Anyone else got anything that they would take differently to an away game?
How about our folks without the cameras on? Do you want to pop it in the chat group, your two items?
Or unmute. Thanks, Liz. Yeah.
Well, I don't not bring it to an away game or home game. I take them to both. Goggles.
Goggles?
Yeah,
Okay.
since obviously glasses is probably a no-go for me, because if they get broken, it's gonna hurt. So I get sports goggles.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what position do you play in, AJ?
I play keeper, so if I get a ball in the face, it's gonna break my glasses.
Right, and it's probably quite important to be able to see where the ball is coming from occasionally as well. I would assume.
Yeah.
So, question for you specifically to consider. So don't answer this. What is your backup plan for glasses if they break? Do you, again, yes or no? There is a yes or no answer. Do you have a backup plan for if your glasses break?
Yes.
Cool. And what? Okay, so what does that entail?
It's not exactly a backup plan, but if those glasses / goggles do break, I can do without them.
Right.
It's just I have short vision, so anything within 7 or 8 meters I can see perfectly fine. It's just
Okay, cool.
the goggles for 9-meter shots. Those are the only
Right.
ones I can't.
So are you? And I'm being facetious here, and just in so are you there with your glasses up, glasses down, glasses up, glasses down, depending upon how close the attacking players are?
No. If I have my goggles on, I keep them on.
Cool. Yeah. Sue and Liz, because obviously you spend a lot of time around handball. How have you seen people deal with glasses breaking, or players who wear contacts? Have you seen how players are organised enough to kind of deal with that and to adapt their game and to have a kind of a backup for should those things go wrong?
Well, I think it's important to note that within England handball, that within competitions, there is a rule that there's no glasses to be worn unless they're sports goggles or wraparounds. So yeah, no player is allowed to play with them, full stop, for their safety and others. So that's the first start. And so there is planning in the early stages. I think you'd agree, Sue, when they come in at a young age, we make sure they've got that information and, they're equipped with that and do often go and source goggles or do try contacts. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And AJ, have you ever worn contacts at all?
Planning to get some. It's just that COVID got in the way and everything.
Yeah. Because again, I'm speaking personally here. For years, I'm like you. I'm short-sighted. So things in the distance are difficult. So when I drive, I put my glasses on, and now I've got over being quite vain about wearing them. It's okay. But when I played American football, suddenly worked out that actually when I put contacts in, I could see the ball, and I kind of go, oh, I'd actually been quite good if I'd have had these in all the way through my playing career. But equally, I do have a contingency plan. I have, backup contacts in my bag. I put them in before I go to a game, so I don't have to faff around in a changing room or outside, because we play outside in bad weather sometimes. I have a little, I don't know what the mirror thing is called, where you have a little pocket mirror. Is it just called a pocket mirror?
I think so.
Yeah.
Vanity mirror.
Well, probably, yeah, a little vanity mirror so that I can pop that open on the sideline and do the icing and put my contact in, or I'll take one out, put one in. Just because, again, that just allows me to be organised to do that, and I have a packet of wet wipes so I can, clean my hands before doing that. So I think what we're kind of getting at here is, and this again will bleed into several of the tasks that we will allow you to do. And I know a lot of you, if not all of you, have begun to look at the wheel in a bit more detail, is we want you to really consider how you pack your kit for those occasions, when you go to school, when you go to training, when you go to the gym, when you go to a home game, when you go to an away game, which might include a battery pack because your phone might run out of charge. When you go, and let's go on to the last one, when you go overnight or overseas. So the last task was about the object you would take overnight and overseas. So again, can we just have a quick show, and we'll have a quick tell about it. So again, Sue and Liz, I don't know when people start to show.
We've got some rather aggressive looking foam rollers.
Okay.
Toothbrush, excellent, Maddie. Yeah, always a bone. That is a toothbrush, right?
And then people
Pillow.
without
A pillow, 2 pillows.
people without cameras on. Again, if you can just put in the chat maybe what you would have, what you've got.
Some
So
deep
who's got
heat there.
who's got a pillow?
Do you know, I saw a great little life hack or travel hack with a pillow.
Right.
Yeah, that people were, to carry more belongings, were putting their clothes inside the pillowcase and carrying it onto the plane as a pillow. So there you go.
Cool.
You'd all get away with it, but
it's as long as it fits inside that little metal container that's the size of a travel bag, a rucksack, then I guess you've got no issue. They've got no issue, have they? Because you can squeeze it to manipulate it into those kind of dimensions. James, you look like you're about to say something.
Just putting my suitcase down.
All right. Okay. Cool. So is that something you would take? And again, let's ask the question to James and to everyone else. Do you have not your suitcase packed ready to go, but do you know what would go in your suitcase? If I said to you, right, half an hour, we've got a flight to a major international trial that some scout in Europe wants to look at you playing handball, would you be ready to go in half an hour and go with everything?
Yeah, I think so. I've got a list of what needs to go in there, so when I need to pack it, I just check off the list when I'm doing it.
Brilliant. And that's what we're going to ask you for in terms of evidence that we get you to upload on the wheel. And again, you may have seen that, but we'll kind of clarify that a bit today and a bit further on. What have you seen, again, Liz and Sue, what have you seen players kind of travel with when you've gone abroad for competition and training camps?
Oh, well, I think Sue and I are great here because Sue travels with the girls and I've travelled with the boys. And there's I've seen the difference in size in suitcases.
Yes, definite difference in the size of the cases.
Yeah, so with the boys, we've tended to be minimalistic. There's been some underwear and some socks, and as long as they know they've got their usually two pairs of handball shoes competitions, and that's solely for the reason when you're sort of international competition, you are playing hard and you're playing a lot of games in every day, and so shoes are getting very wet, and so they want backups. You want to wear a dry pair every other day. So sometimes the boys remember to bring a towel, which is good. And then I think, Sue, you've got the other end of the scale, haven't you?
Yeah, so the girls have huge, great big maximum weight cases that we can give them. And there's everything in there apart from the kitchen sink. So plenty of training kit, plenty of playing kit, trainers. An essential, I would say, is always toilet bag along with a makeup bag. And what else can I think of that we've seen? Oh, first aid kit, maybe, some of you. Hair brushes, pretty much everything that they've probably got in the bedroom, it goes in that case.
Yeah, I have to say in my rucksack, my college rucksack, I've actually got like a COVID little pack. So the college sent me a COVID pack way back last year that I still have got. I've got a first aid kit at home. So I would probably travel with those if I was on the road and going overseas or staying out overnight. Anything from the players on the call? Anything you've seen or you have taken to again? Let's make it specific to a handball occasion that you've taken on an overseas trip, or a hack that you've used that's been really good.
Hi, Rico.
Plenty of tape for the girls, and hair bobbles, hair grips. Yeah, Maddie said baby oil there.
Yeah, those hair bobbles get all over the place, don't they?
Yeah.
As a father of two girls, just multiply those two. Okay, cool. And again, you know, what we're talking to you about is having those things listed. So just like James has said, have a list, have a plan of what you're going to take with you, know what you're going to need, and think about that from experience. Huey's put about blanket and pillow. We've kind of gone back to the pillow thing. One of the things I do is I've got a different pillowcase that I keep in my travel bag but I put that over the top of any pillow I go to, should I be staying in a hotel, because it's washed. Because it's washed. Sorry, Liz.
I do that too. Yeah.
Because it's then washed in my washing machine and it smells like home. So when I go somewhere completely different, if the smells around are slightly different, and you can just about tell, I think sometimes, at least something smells familiar. You know, once I've dribbled on it a few bits, and you know, and had maybe my girls add their heads to it because they spend a lot of time on my bed, you know, then actually it makes me sleep better when I'm in a completely different environment. So again, what we want you to consider, and we're mindful that you might not get loads of opportunities to go overseas in the time you've got with us on DiSE, is how you would pack effectively for that. And when you look at the wheel, and specifically you look at OM7, that's one of the things that we will ask you to talk about. And it's one of those things that will happen, I'm going to say organically, during your time in the next 2 years, where you have not necessarily overseas, but where you have an overnight trip. So we'll ask you, and I'll explain in the follow-up video to this session tonight, what we're asking you to do in those bits. Brilliant. Anyone got any last comments around what we've just talked about? No, cool. Sue, sorry, Liz, do you want to go on to slide 22 then?
Indeed.
And we'll get into the next bits.
Where are we going? So keep entertain while I find the right slide.
So the question at the top says, over the duration of a normal week, how much time do you spend doing the following activities? Now, with slide 22, or the slide that Liz is going to put on screen, and then the one she'll show you afterwards, but not right yet, we want you to go away and consider, and equally do this now, how much time you spend, maybe on a daily basis, doing these tasks that will appear on screen in just a second, as if by magic.
And if by magic, I've done it, I found it, there we go.
So let's give you a minute to have a think about this. And what I guess what we'd like you to do is, in the chat box, if you can think of something for D, J, K, although I liked your J one, Liz, earlier on, D, K, O, Q, U, and X, put those in the chat. That's the first thing of something you might do in your daily life. And then second thing that we want all of you to do is to write in the chat your top 3. So what 3 things on average, an approximation, not an arithmetical mean, and we certainly don't need to work out the standard deviation here. What 3 things are the things that occupy most of your time in a normal week? And that's probably a term time week rather than like a half term week. And what were those things that you said, Liz? You said J for journaling.
Journaling, yes.
Which I'd like, and again, I will probably go back and he says, leaning over to his laptop, I will go back and actually put that in.
Oh, cool.
There, I think, because I think there's something to be said about that, and
Yeah.
that's another discussion that would probably send us down a little bit of send me down the rabbit hole about how useful that can be about reviewing your performance in all aspects of everything you do. But I think journaling can be quite cathartic, anxiety reducing, and equally can be really, really informative around your performance. Thanks, Tosca, can see that. So what were the other ones that you said, Liz? Q was questioning, wasn't it?
Questioning, yes. So yes, I think I was just thinking, yeah, just general questions, you know, and even if that's you questioning things, maybe like researching on, you know, Google or looking things up, that kind of thing. But yeah.
Cool. And what was the other thing you said? Thanks, Maddie, can see yours.
Ooh, what was it?
Heidi can see yours. Rico can see yours. So Rico, is that a combination of different sports? Ethan, I can see yours. Oscar, I can see yours. Rosie can see yours.
Yeah, I had O. I had something for O.
James,
rather
Flynn,
quite relevant.
Cloud, you. Okay, handball, gym, college. Handball, college, gaming. So Huey, you would love the esports room that's at Loughborough College. I was in the college a couple of weeks ago, first time in 600 days, not that I was counting. And the esports room is awesome. It's absolutely awesome. The logo, the Loughborough Lycans, I think, Charlie, Georgia, Raf, I think that's what they're called, was named by Abby, who's in the second year, Abby Lincoln. Okay, so a real variation, but I think did you notice any like common themes there? Liz and Sue, was there anything you sort of saw that came up several times?
Handball, gym.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Not a lot of sleep though.
No.
Noses.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe staying with this one. If you flick to the next slide, Liz, what we would recommend you do, and I'm going to share probably this evening when I get home, later on tonight, and I'll do it via Teams, is I will share a lifestyle document from TAS, the Talented Athlete Scholarship Scheme. And in this, on page, I'm looking closely, page 24, I think it says at the top, is a weekly planner. Now, you can, again, amend this, use it how you think is best. You might have your own electronic version of something like this. I think it would be a really useful activity, and equally one that we're going to ask you to do anyway, to put down all the kind of the things that you do in maybe blocks of 20 minutes plus, although this obviously gives you the ability to do that in half-hour blocks. But kind of work out, and this might be where you get your coloured pens out as well. That's certainly what I would do. And colour code stuff, so you can see the patterns of how much time you're spending doing stuff throughout the course of the week. And then we're actually going to ask you to do something like that, to upload that as evidence, primarily with a college timetable, and we'll show you this on the slide in a minute, but also with like your training schedule as well. So something like this weekly planner might be of real use to you. Liz, do you want to go on?
I was just going to say, could maybe just a show of hands, literally on the screen, who is currently using any form of planner? Yeah.
How many can you see?
I can see 3.
Yeah. Hands
is that
up.
A yes, Ethan?
Yes,
Ethan, yeah.
There's a few hands up, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So again, what I will ask you to do, guys, is to share a snapshot of that. Obviously, try and adjust anything that might be slightly controversial, confidential, certainly, to kind of show us what your life is really like. And then when you talk to Chris, Joao, and Nathan in particular, as your tutors, they can give you some supportive advice on how to make your time even more effective. I don't know whether you can see my screen, my one. I've actually brought my Daddy Shark planner with me. Daddy Shark do by the way. And in it, what I do, because I use an electronic calendar on my work phone for all my work appointments, is I put the additional things that I have to do, and everything on here is color coded. Where should you post after you're done? So that will be to the wheel, AJ. And again, we'll see where that is and where that specifically goes in a minute. And I've got things on here. So like on what day was it? Tuesday the 2nd. So U is Tuesday in my calendar. H is Thursday. 7:30 to 8:30 handball induction. Fliss was singing the following day. Acting, audition for that Nanny was going to take the girls to, take Fliss to. Harriet had an exam practice, etc., etc., etc. So that might be really something that you consider how you use that. And again, talk to staff around you, not necessarily just Chris, Nathan, myself, but talk to anyone and everyone around you how you do that more effectively. Liz, can you go back one slide?
Yeah.
Because I guess the question and the thing to get you to put in the chat is, which one thing would be your priority to improve? So of all those things on, put in the chat which one you would want to improve. And I'm not. or if you want to refer to it in some other term, then do that. So thanks, AJ.
So yeah, Jim.
Thanks, Ethan, Maddie,
Right.
James, Rico, Heidi. Heidi, that sounds like that's imposed on you. Oscar, Huey, Corin, Ruby.
Oh, here come the sleeps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's course 2. So Sue, Liz, do you want a couple of minutes to talk about anything sleep related, or any advice that you can give? I'm putting you both totally on the spot here.
Well, sleep related. My opinion, backed by some science, is that sleep can be one of the most important tools in your toolbox. Getting enough of it, you know, whilst we sleep, that's when our bodies heal. So if, you know, after a hard session in the gym or on the handball court, you know, that's the time when your body's going to heal at its best. It's also really interesting that that's the time when you learn as well. So you know, imagine, let's take for example just doing a handball shot. If you're, you know, practicing the arm movement over and over again, but if you're practicing that on court, your brain's taking that to sleep with you, and you're actually replaying that over and over again. And the science behind it, and I'll talk to John about potentially sharing a link with you on that, because it's mind-blowing what your brain does when you're asleep. So yeah, it's the most important time for me, and it comes as a very high priority to me. Sorry.
Cool. Sue, anything to add to that?
No, just totally agree with what Liz is saying there. And I suppose, I don't know if it's a bit of an old wives' tale, is trying to get some sleep before midnight is valuable hours. I'm not sure how true that is, but
it's an old wives' tale. It doesn't count double. Doesn't count double.
It's important to understand that we do all have different sleep needs. However, the science really says you need a minimum of 7. But yeah.
Yeah, it's different into what you can actually function on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm not citing any expertise here other than a lived experience and a little bit of research as well. But I think for most people your age, that's probably the biggest bang for your buck. That's the biggest thing. That's the simplest thing for you to change, although it might not feel it, that will have the most significant impact on all of these things. And again, what I'm going to do is when you log back onto Teams, probably tomorrow, I will put in the Organise Myself channel a subfolder in the files, if you're still with this, that's entitled Zeds. There'll probably be 9 of them. Not that I'm being very pedantic about that. Which will have some information about sleep. And again, if you go back onto the Believe Perform website, I believe I've not blocked you out of looking at, there's some infographics on there. And again, I'll probably share, I think there's about 4 or 5 of them that again, I'll probably share and push into the Teams page for you to have a look at, because there's some really good information about understanding your own sleep pattern. So as Liz said, you know, your chronotype, whether you're a lark or an owl, understanding the different cycles of sleep, getting a bit more scientific, understanding how to maybe appropriately monitor it and the dangers of over monitoring it, because you know, if you don't feel like you get enough sleep, then that anxiety can actually be a self-fulfilling prophecy and stop you sleeping even more. But I think the key thing is, you know, and I think we probably, all 3 of us would probably urge you, is to use your opportunity and the time you've got now to actually experiment a little bit with it, particularly, you know, when you're not in the sort of the thrust and cusp of the thrust and cut the thrust of the end of the season, of exams, you know, of pressures around visiting relatives, Heidi, you know, or going home for Christmas or big occasions, you know, and again, you know, monitor it. I'm gonna do this and flash up my sleep pattern in August 2020. So I actually monitored this for a whole month and basically highlighted, and hopefully you can't see that in too much detail, so I'll move it back. Highlighted when I went to sleep, when I woke up. And you can see I don't get very much sleep, but I cope on it. You know, that's just the way I'm wired. And part of that is through watching American football till 3:30 last night and getting up at 7:30 and doing the school run and doing a full day's work. But again, it's important for you as young people who are still growing and still developing to really kind of get on top of that and really understand, you know, how you can do that effectively, and how sometimes you might need to have conversations with other people around you about how you do that. You know, if you're a snorer and you share a room with a sibling, or if they're a snorer, or you go to bed at different times, or, you know, I saw several of you had, you know, social media use, you know, that blue light before you go to bed, again, not seen to be necessarily such a good thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to add, Liz and Sue, as we're racing towards 8 o'clock?
Yeah, I think we're almost at the end here, aren't we? So
cool.
Yeah.
So shall I drive this last bit then?
Yeah.
Because it will probably bounce back to me anyway. So if you go on the slide, please, my lovely assistant, I love it, and on the next one. So that's what I've asked you. Go on to the next one. What one thing would you want to develop, improve, change? So this is basically what you have to do as your task. And again, I think I may have communicated this with Emily, who's not on the call right now. The deadline for these two tasks is the 1st of December. I've taken the executive decision to get all of your deadlines on the 1st of a month. And again, I'm going to set some hard deadlines for things like OM1 and UOM1 and DMDC1, like I did for 1st of November, which I think most of you have hit, so well done. But the other things that fall out of this, so like OM2, OM3, to some degree, OM4, 5, 6, and 7, you can do those as you feel appropriate. So for those of you that understand your training plan and how you organize yourself for training, because you already do it really well, go ahead and do, and I think it's OM4, and have a look at that on the wheel when you go back to that. Again, with the wheel, if you're struggling, message me after the sessions tonight, get on Teams, let's have the conversation. And again, I'm more than happy, as Claudio knows, to pick up the virtual phone, call you on Teams or Zoom and have that conversation. Okay, next one, Liz, please. So that's what those two tasks we're going to get you to do. OM1 is these 4 things. Basically, copy of your school college timetable as fully as possible. So make sure it's got times on. That might include and also be incorporated into C, which is about, into B, which is also about your training schedule. So again, if you go back to that page 20, not you have to, Liz, but that page 24 that I shared with you, write it all on there if you want to. This is my normal weekly schedule. If you've already got it, take a picture of it, upload that onto the wheel under OM1, click the 2 ticks, they'll turn green, jobs are good, and then we'll obviously review that with you. Share a copy of your fixture list. Now, again, I had this conversation with Liz yesterday, and as a non-handballer in the room, I think this is quite a difficult thing for you to do, because I couldn't find very many. In fact, I couldn't find a single fixture list. When I did about a 5-minute search on Google and on Facebook, I even went onto the Paul Phoenix website and there was nothing on there, other than the next slide that you'll see in a minute, which was just kind of like a monthly schedule. But it doesn't say when the actual fixtures are, which for me, as someone who might be sort of preparing to be an elite sports person, as in you might want to periodize, you might want to adjust your training, you might want to peak in certain games or see certain big games as really important, although a game is a game is a game. So you so go back. Go on, Liz.
I was just going to say, could my resident Paul Phoenix lady maybe share where Paul Phoenix find their fixture lists?
Yeah. Who's that? Who's with you?
Miss Rosie, are you there? Please be there now.
Hello.
Hi, Rosie.
Go on, Rosie.
How do you know, Rosie, when you are playing for Paul Phoenix?
It all gets sent on to Spond.
Cool.
Could you explain what Spond is to the rest of us?
So for those that don't know what Spond is, all the events get sent by the coaches or like the host, and you could either put attending or decline. Yeah, and it will have all the time, like, and the places where it is, and it also shows you like when it is, like next week or the date that week is on and all that. Yeah.
And how can you access that, Rosie?
Download the app, and usually like the coach will send a link through emails that you can join.
Cool, thank you so much.
Brilliant.
There.
So again, in terms of uploading evidence of that, so we're not after every single fixture, but we want to know that you know your fixtures. Again, I would probably, if I was in your situation, I would want to know when each of the games was in like a big overall annual plan for me, so I know that.
Can I just add there, John?
Yep.
They could, if they do use it, and I've seen it, which I'm myself very often referring to, is the EHA calendar that's got everything on it. So the dates for the under-19 fixtures are on there, GB training, DiSE.
Right, cool.
It's on every weekend. It's just not detailed as in per club fixture.
And that's what we're after. So again, we are looking for you to have a detailed, individualized. So we might find that and put that in the chat, Maddie, for you. But we want you to share that individualized thing. So if I play for the Pool Phoenix, I know that I'm traveling up to the Stroud Massive and trying to take on those guys, or I'm traveling over to Brighton Handball Club, or I'm traveling to another club that I can't think of the name of at the moment down south. But we want you to be a bit more precise with the detail of that, and anything that is handwritten, color coded, looks a little bit messy, but is being used, is what we are actually after. So real life evidence. And essentially, if you do task A, B, and C there, you are hopefully doing task D there as well. And again, we will probably come back to you with a couple of questions just to help you evidence that. Liz, next one, if you won't mind. Again, mindful that we're racing towards top of the hour. So next one. Next one. So that's what I got off Pool Phoenix website. So that's task OM1. Next one. So UOM1 is this. So this is a bit of, and I make no apologies for this, this is a bit of exam practice one. So Tosca, take a screenshot, take a couple of screenshots of when the games are. So I'm not so worried about when each of your training sessions are, but when the games are, where maybe over the course of a month. So for UOM1, we want you to treat this like it's 5 A-level exam questions, mindful that not all of you do A-levels, but answer those, write in full sentences, write in, maybe a paragraph for each of those, if appropriate. And I'm going to leave it as loose and as unguided as that, I'm afraid. I'm not going to tell you how many marks each question is worth, but can you answer those questions? Probably use a Word document and upload that Word document to UOM1, just like you've done with your CVs. Or you can print that or copy that out and put it as a statement in the statement box that's in that cell on the create development wheel. Okay, next one, Liz. Thanks, Liz. And that's the other task that we're going to get you to do. So understand how to plan and manage your time. And then I think, Liz, I think we're almost done, aren't we? So what's the next slide? Yeah, so this is totally optional. Again, I'll share this with you on a PDF tomorrow or tonight with a link to a video around, and I said I wouldn't use the B word, but around balancing and prioritizing stuff. Because I think a lot of what we've talked about tonight is probably about prioritizing and being organized and making decisions about what to do, what not to do, what to do as a backup plan. But maybe, Liz, do you have anything final to kind of add for the group for now?
No, I really don't, and I'm really sorry, but we've got another meeting starting in 1 minute. So. Okay,
so as you're about to bail on us, and I'll probably come and join you with the second years for a couple of minutes. Sue, what time do you want them to log back in on, and what time will you be back in the driving seat?
Well, I just need to go into another account and load up the next presentation. So shall we say 8:10? Is everybody okay with that? 10 minutes?
So let's go that if people can start coming back for 8:05, and then you'll have on, I think it's a slide, whatever it was, 14,
yeah.
14, and
15.
there's a task, 15, thank you, and then there's a task for people to start on once they come back in, but we'll then start
so
at
5 past
for a 10 past formal start to the session, but there's a pre-session task. Cool. Well, thank you. So no, Corin, it's a different link. So you should, if you go back into the handball spreadsheet, then it should